One thinks of the Great Depression, one often thinks of the stock market crash of 1929. Please remember, though, that stock market crash is a symptom of the Great Depression, not a cause of the Great Depression. The stock market crash itself is a result of the 1920s installment buying culture and the get-rich-quick mentality of the era. The stock market crash was caused partially because there was an assumption that the value of the stocks would always go up. It's also caused by the fact that there is no regulation on the market. So when you combine this assumption that the values of the stocks are going to always increase and there's nobody keeping tabs on it, investors started to do a lot of speculating, and they started to do a lot of poor decision making. One of the poor decisions is referred to as buying on margin. What this means is that a investor could borrow up to 90% of the value of the stock. So if you had a $10 stock, you could borrow $9 and only have to pay $1. The reason that this is a big deal, though, is because that meant that stock investors could purchase more stock. So if they had $10, they would buy 10 stocks worth $100 rather than one stock at 10. This means that the investors could make much higher profit. It also means that they had a lot more debt. The assumption that the value of the stock would always go up meant that the stock investors would sell off the stock later, pay off their loan, and then collect whatever was left over at a higher profit. The problem is that in October of 1929, there was a large sell order. And supply and demand being what it is, the illusion of the value cracked. When more people were selling, all of a sudden the brokers got nervous, the people that gave the loans, and they called in those loans. They wanted that 90% back. The investors had to sell, and when you increase the supply of the stocks, that means the value of all the stocks go down. So the investors had to sell to pay off the loans, the value of the stocks went down, and we have, again, this cyclical nature of the supply and demand and this vicious cycle. Banks did try to prop up the markets and hope that they would bounce back, but to no avail. And on Tuesday, I'll call Black Tuesday, I believe it is October 29th, 1929, the false prosperity of the 1920s finally cracked, and we enter into the Great Depression.